I need to remember to take Zyrtec when I think I'm going to film. And I also need to speak up when I'm using the lapel mic. Yes, hello, LT Cat. So these were our eggplants that we got from the seed library, but they didn't get very big. They just stayed golf ball size. And even this one, which might have been riper than this one, just smells green. And because we didn't really get good fruit off of it, I'm not really sure that's worth keeping. And this eggplant that we got from the store might be already too far gone. It's a little spongy. But that's okay. I'm going to give it a chance. Well, maybe I shouldn't. Oh, it's awfully spongy. It's awfully spongy. We'll give it a chance. At the most, I end up wasting some electricity because it wasn't quite right. And we've just got this. This is all I use. And I'm just going to sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. Turn it over. Because the salt pulls all the bitters of eggplant out. And this only needs to sit curing for maybe a couple hours. And you can wipe the salt off afterwards. It goes in the trash. We do not put salt into the compost. That has a tendency of destroying what you want it to do. So, my LT cat, wanting to know what mommy's doing. I'm going to just set these in the oven with the oven off for now. And those will cure over the next couple of hours, and I'll roast those tonight. For now, I'm going to start some chicken boiling for the rest of my meals for this week. Well, part of my meals this week. And I'm going to need to do a lot of research when it comes to the eggplant. So later, when that's up to a boil, I'm going to throw some broccoli into here and use the steam off of that to steam my broccoli. Maybe a couple of other veggies too, and I'll just put them back for later. Okay guys, so we're done letting these cure. I actually think that the color on them actually got probably a little bit better from the salt curing. I'll pat those off. And then what I'm going to do is take the teeny tiny tip and pepper that somehow ended up in there, the dickens. You go in there. All those are going to be joining their brethren in the pepper oil because I didn't really get enough peppers in that. So I'm going to brush these with some olive oil. I'm going to put them in the oven at 425 and I will let you guys see the end result. There you go, guys. Roasted eggplanty goodness. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let these guys cool off. I'm going to take the skin off. And then tomorrow, because it is coming on evening time, tomorrow I'm going to blend this with some garlic oil. I'm going to show you guys tomorrow how I make garlic oil. And this is going to become the drizzle for some chicken and steamed vegetables. Yum, yum, yum. This was part of a Christmas present from my husband one year. My Instant Pot is my rice cooker. I made probably close to 2.5 cups of rice. This is going to get turned into onigiri and bibimbap. When you work with an Instant Pot, when you go to take the lid off, when you haven't been venting it, always keep your head out of the way. As well as the pour the water off. Yee. Now that is a lovely pot of rice, at least for what I can do. Now I did wash this once, but now I'm going to let this keep cooling a bit, and what I am going to do is I'm going to make myself some bibimbap, and I will show you guys my bibimbap. But the most basic bibimbap is fried rice, in a fried egg. Don't believe me? Hit the YouTube search bar. I'll put the spelling right down here so that you can find it. I definitely recommend Erin and Claire's video about it, because there's a lot of different varieties of bibimbap that you can make at home. And for a low spoon cost recipe, or a low spell slot cost recipe, it's pretty awesome actually. Now most of the time when you see people prepping sushi rice, they're going to have a bamboo basket that they use to mix in the rice vinegar and sesame oil. Although I've only got a non-toasted sesame oil, so mine would not taste traditional. But I'm going to use what I have, which is a very beautiful cornware dish. It's about the best thing I have for drying out, for letting the onigiri rice cool a little bit. And I'm going to be actually putting back at least 3 breakfasts worth for bibimbap. Well, actually, it depends. But I'll put this guy in here. And while my eggs cook, very, very carefully, not to destroy the rice grains too much. Last thing I need is Uncle Roger finding one of my videos. So, just go like this. I'm going to need to put that on the grocery list. And like this. Whoop, that might be too much. So normally I wouldn't make this much rice because we try to be low carb when my husband's home. When he's not home, it's very much one of those, I'm going to make enough of everything to give me meal components for several meals. So I might have probably should have put a little bit more water in with it when I was cooking it. Now, one of my batches of boiled chicken I made, I saved some of the chicken broth. Like I told you guys, I don't put any salt or pepper in my broths so that I can put them on my dog's food if I'm not going to use it in my own cooking. And that's what I put in with this. So there should be a very, very lovely, very, very, very light chicken flavor there in the background on this. So I've got that. Carefully, don't break the grains too much. Don't break the grains too much. Okay. So, another reason for letting it cool off before I make the onigiri is so that I don't burn my hands while I'm making onigiri. Because that would hurt very much. And I've done that a time or two. So, my eggs are cooking just fine. I'm going to go with the rice maker. There's a little bit more rice in this one than there wasn't that. What, sesame oil. Oops. Might be too much again. Got it. We have to get this size because I love sesame oil. I love the flavor it imparts. So, alright. Carefully. Get over there. Carefully. Very carefully. And like I said, I'm just using what I have. So, carefully. There we go. Yeah, some of my grains are breaking, but that's gonna happen. This is just regular white grain rice that I had on hand. So, all right, set that there, set that there, and I'm gonna tend to my eggs real quick. I can't flip eggs worth a darn, so I usually just cover them up like that. That way I don't have to worry about accidentally making a huge mess and or burning myself with oil splatter. Now, in case you're wondering why I dumped the oil on, I cooked the eggs in sesame oil, which really gives a nice flavor to it. And I just set the frying pan aside for later. I'd already been using these scissors for something else, so don't worry, I'm not cross-contaminating. Now, my bibimbap, I actually like to put a little bit of salt and pepper on it. However, I'm going to spare you guys the agony of watching me eat. Mostly because it's brutal, especially when I'm this hungry, and it's one of my favorite breakfasts. Oh, that was a good breakfast. All right, so we're going to put this rice into containers. This is going to be 4 breakfasts for me over the next several days. Now, for those of you wondering why it is that I'm putting in so much effort right now, is because I know how my week goes. Once I get towards the end of a week, I get tired of cooking. I don't want to cook anymore. Reheating things in the microwave is perfectly acceptable. Plus, at the end of this week, I'm going to be dealing with the fact that I greatly miss my husband. I'm going to be wishing that my animals would calm the heck down because they miss him too. And so I'm going to make things easier on myself by, on the days where I have the will and or spell slots or spoons to make extra components for meals, I'm going to do it. So on that note, we're going to switch to speed up mode. I either added too much rice vinegar, I let it cool for too long, too much water, or I shouldn't have rinsed it. Usually my rice, when I don't rinse it, is a lot stickier because I'm using just regular white long grain rice that you can get here in the United States just about anywhere. So I'm going to put the rest of that into a bigger container to use with some other stir fries. I'm going to put my rice balls away. And I'm going to clean my mess up. Practice makes perfect. And oh boy, do I need more practice. This ended up being one of those long setup shots where I'm like, I don't know which way I want to go. Whoop, no, you go. Ah! Right, that goes into a blooper reel. Oh. Good morning. The loud rumbly sounds that you might hear outside are A-10s. We are underneath of one of the training boxes for the A-10s out of the Tucson Air Force Base. So that makes things interesting some mornings, especially when they're practicing their bombing runs. So today I'm going to show you guys how I make garlic oil. I'm going to show you some of the other food. There will be some more clips of the crochet poncho, and there will be some more of the quilting. I needed to take a moment to whine because, you know, it's coming up on the holiday season and there are a lot of yarn sales and stationery sales right now. And I can't get any of it. I mean, whine. I get one more splurge. That's the Archer and Olive winter box. And then after I get that box, I have to put the subscription on pause for a while. And then it's a new computer. And then after that, all of my spending, my personal spending, is, hey, not a scratching post. Not a scratching post. All of my personal spending gets frozen until about April. Because right now I am trying to switch into a use it up mode. I've never run the risk of being a hoarder. However, I've always run the risk of being extremely messy. Meow meow. And that happens when I have too many things laying around that are unfinished projects. So after I get the December Archer and Olive box, I'm going into finished project mode for at least 6 months. Because, you know, I'm here in the homestead now. I have got a lot of projects that I need to focus on. You know, the two major ones that I'm hoping to get done by no later than next May are the greenhouse and getting several of our trees that have a lot of dead growth on them, well, a lot of dead on them, trimmed off, chopped up, and dealt with. I'm working on inside, I'm working on getting us finished and unpacked keeping the animals happy. I had hoped to do a lot of pressure canning this fall. That didn't work out. That did not work out at all. But when it comes to that, things happen. When you move into a new house, when you move on to a new homestead that has a place that you can live in and a workshop, and it's just about it, you're going to have other priorities crop up. Hopefully next year, though, we're going to be, having been here for at least a year and a half by that point, we'll be more on the ball about hitting the farmer's market to pick up things that we weren't able to grow here. I would absolutely have loved to put back several dozen quarts and pints of green beans and tomatoes and other vegetables here soon. Where me and my husband are hopefully going to be going back up to Chiricahua National Monument. There were several trails up there that were fairly easy. There were several viewing points up there that are very easy. When we went up the last time, it was still at a point where there was a lot of moisture in the air. So we started to hike up one of the trails and the rain started picking up. We went a little bit farther and the rain picked up more. We went a little bit farther and then the thunder started. And at that point it was one of those, no. We are, now we're just going to go back to the car and we're going to go down the mountains and we're going to go check out Faraway Ranch. And we got down to the bottom and looked back over our shoulders and all of the peaks were covered in rain, but down where we were at was sunny and clear. Go figure. Welcome to life in the mountains. So hopefully that will be an upcoming video. I don't know when exactly. My husband and I are still fairly busy here on the homestead. A part of it is decompressing from living in the city for so long. A part of it is supply chain issues. Some of the things that we would like to get on right now, we can't yet. That's okay, Maggie. Some of the other things, it's just not the right time to start working on yet. So, and there are other videos that, where you guys will be able to see that it was several days of filming. Sweetie. One of the biggest lessons I have learned from my fellow homesteaders out there on YouTube is don't work on the same homesteading project day after day after day after day. Rotate. Have 2 or 3 that you're rotating through every single day so that you don't get burned out. Because burnout, when you're trying to run a homestead and take care of a homestead, means you can spend several days not getting anything taken care of, which means things are getting worse in all sorts of areas. And by the time you get done dealing with your burnout, you risk becoming overwhelmed because of everything that needs taken care of. And as someone who deals with chronic depression and anxiety, pull your tongue back in, Lieutenant. There you go. Not hitting burnout and not getting overwhelmed is very important. And that's part of the reason why I include bullet journaling in my videos. Bullet journaling is a valuable tool for me. Very valuable tool. So, let me see. I don't know if you guys can see that on her nose right there. She got bit by something or stung. And it's firm. She's not in a lot of discomfort, if any. We've been giving her Benadryl at night. Well, I gave her a couple of Benadryl last night. It's looking better today. I'm going to give her a couple more tonight. And thankfully, she's not one of those dogs that gets hyper when she's given Benadryl. But you're my good baby. That nose got you into trouble, didn't it? No.
You got you into so much trouble. Because now you look like you got into a fight with a bee and lost.
Okay, anyways, so let me show you guys how I get oil, garlic oil. And these guys, you'll note, might even look a little on the fermented side. Now, the purists out there will tell you, I'm about to do everything wrong. However, if it works, it works. So, it's an incredibly simple process. I've got 2 cloves of garlic here that I don't know if I'm going to get around to using, and I don't want them to go bad on me. Grab a paper towel from right here, so I've got a place for my skins. Just going to break everything off the outer layer here. If you're one of those poor souls who can't stand the smell of garlic, you have my sympathies. You want a broad edge knife, whee, so that you can do that. Now I have a 1/2 pint mason jar. My husband found these at Goodwill. Sheer luck, and they have been absolutely wonderful to have on hand as I'm working on using up peppers and garlic and a variety of things that I just can't freeze anymore. We're going to take the bottoms off of all of these. Because that will also let me look at the integrity of the clove. By seeing the integrity of the clove, I'll know whether or not it's fit to put into the jar, like this one right here. You see that? That one, I don't want to use that one in the jar. Because that one will spoil the oil. Now, I could probably get away with using this one if I trimmed the bad spots off, but I'm better off not. So at this point, we're going to switch over to the sped up version while I do this, and I will see you guys in the normal speed once we get to the next step after filling the jar. Really go. It's okay, Lieutenant. Now, as you can see, you can fit quite a little bit of garlic into these little half pint jars. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Now, there are those who will tell you you need to heat the oil up before adding it to your garlic. I say nay, nay. We're just going to add olive oil to this and leave about that much space. You know this little lip that tends to happen between the threads and the top? That, in a lot of jars, is a good way of knowing when to stop filling things up. When you're pressure canning and water bath canning, they tell you to leave an inch of headspace. That ridge right there is roughly an inch, maybe a little less than an inch. So if you stop just a little bit before that or at that line, you're not going to have to worry about your jars being overfull. Now look at that. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? Gonna put a lid on it. Hand tighten just to about there. And then you're going to put this in a dark pantry and forget about it. This is the busy person's way of making themselves some garlic oil and oil-saturated garlic, which comes out turning out like that. And because you're using both the garlic and the olive oil in this oil when you go to use it. Because not all of us have a couple hours to spend babysitting hot oil. It's just not practical for a large number of people. All right, so I'm going to take the rest of this garlic that ended up having bad spots. I'm going to add it to my breakfast, after cutting out the bad spots, of course. And I will catch you guys for the crocheting bit. Mostly for the simple fact that I think we've had enough cooking in this video, so I'm not going to show you guys my breakfast. And I'm also going to clean up my mess. Now, I know there's going to be questions about Maggie and her condition because I showed you guys that bite. Just so you guys understand, the following things I've been monitoring for. Has she been showing signs of nausea? No, she's not. She's not been vomiting. She's not been having any trouble eating food. No trouble swallowing. She's not been drinking more water than normal. Her energy levels are just fine. She's not been overly aggressive towards anybody. She's not been panting a lot. She has not been showing signs of discomfort more than what you would normally expect just because she's got a giant thing on the side of her nose. I'm actually wondering if maybe the tear duct didn't get infected a little bit. I don't know. But as far as I can tell, as long as I give her some Benadryl tonight and tomorrow night, she's going to be okay. She's literally not showing any other sign other than a swelling snoot. And even if I did need to take her to the vet, I would probably not be able to because the vehicle that we have currently here is a truck that is a stick shift, and I am not coordinated enough to drive a stick shift. I mean, for crying out loud, guys, this is the woman who tripped over a ladder. Do I need to show you the bruises again? So, thankfully, my experience as being a Tier 1 klutz has given me triaging and first aid skills that most people would probably be quite jealous of, but not jealous of how I got them. All right, the next little bit, ooh, there goes the sun again. The next little bit is going to be crocheting and some quilting, and that will probably wrap up today's video. It's gotten to the point now to where I feel like I don't need to really do an intro with you guys. I feel like we've actually kind of hit a point where I can get several things into a video and hopefully the balance is there. So I'm going to go eat my breakfast now, which ended up being chicken fried rice. The white stuff is sour cream, not mayo, and sweet red bell pepper. Excuse me while I go make horrible nomming sounds.